So in this video, I'm going to give you the basics of the SSP, and this is the Secret Space Program. This concept is crucial. This is the cream of the crop. It's a pivotal pillar of the disclosure that's going on, that we're in these times, is this Secret Space Program. And what is a Secret Space Program? Well, exactly what those words spell out. It is a space program that is literally hidden from public view. And, you know, thinking of something like a secret space program sounds crazy at first, but this is where I'm a big fan of visualization, because it really helps you empathize and understand what's going on, to connect some dots. I want you to visualize right now. Close your eyes. Visualize it is the 1940s. Maybe the 50s, sometime around that time frame. Visualize that you are extremely rich and extremely powerful, and you're a little psychopathic, right? Not a little, a lot. You and your family, you and your bloodline friends are all really psychopathic. Also, during this time frame, early 1900s, there's also a lot of scientists around who are stumbling across some very important research. What are you going to want to do? Well, you're very rich, you're very powerful, and you want control. So you're going to want to get that science. You're going to want to keep that science suppressed, and you're going to want to build out technology based on that science. And this is exactly what occurred. This is why the Secret Space Program concept is so crucial, because it gives you the true history, especially over the last century, over the last 150 years, and it gives you a snapshot into the real science that we're not taught about the zero-point field, about the ether, about free energy and anti-gravity, about whatever you want to call this science. It goes by a lot of different names: subquantum kinetics, the reciprocal systems, hyperdimensional physics. Whatever you want to call it, it gives all of that to you. So of course they don't want us to know about this covert program, about these black projects going on, and they're going to tell us some complete fabrication of science and let our consciousness go down the trodden paths of whatever BS they feed us, and they don't want us to ask basic questions about what's really going on here, and they want to suppress all of the alternative. I don't like to call it alternative, all the natural sciences. Now, I had you visualize that that grand concept of owning your own secret space program if you were one of our powers that be, one of our, human farmers. But let's delve into what actually happened. Now, in the mid-1800s, there was a man named James Clerk Maxwell. He was one of the original inventors of electromagnetic theory. Apparently, and I read this from a high-ranking military physicist, Tom Bearden, that when James Clerk Maxwell was developing his original equations, there was a large piece of that puzzle that dealt with what's called quaternions. And that was literally sanitized. It was left out of university and college textbooks, because like I said, those psychopaths don't want this science exposed. So they only gave us a little bit of his electromagnetic theory, but not all of it. Fast forward a few decades, and then we end up with Nikola Tesla. Now, Nikola Tesla wasn't the only guy working on all of these free energy zero-point research, but he was one of the obviously most famous ones. And Nikola Tesla also, delved into this zero-point free energy concept and countering gravity with electricity. And once he died, right, once J.P. Morgan found out what he was really doing, pulled his funding. Once Tesla died alone in his apartment, the FBI swooped in, grabbed all his papers. Can't let this science out. Also, T. Townsend Brown. T. Townsend Brown was a man in the early 1900s who was figuring out how to make metal discs levitate and propel by countering gravity with electricity, right? Like I just said, Tesla. His concept's called electrogravitics sometimes as well, because gravity is energy in, it's implosion, it's compression, and radiation or electromagnetism is out. So you can find the coupling between the two and actually make stuff levitate and propel. and dematerialize, and a lot of other cool stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of neat stuff they don't want us to know with this science of the secret space program. So all of these guys, you know, Maxwell, T. Townsend Brown, Tesla, those are just 3 examples of of what they were researching over a century ago. So all this science was suppressed and brought into the esoteric circles, brought into, you know, owned by our human farmers. Now, with this science under their belt, what they needed to do is build it out. How did they build that out? Well, they farmed. Like I call them the human farmers. They literally farmed us. And I know I'm just straight up truth with this, but what they quite literally did is do the divide and conquer strategy, right? First they did it with the communists against the Americans, and then they did it with the terrorists, and then there's always the boogeyman they need, right? So scare the public, problem, reaction, solution, create the problem, whether it be terrorists, communists, some fabricated divide and conquer strategy, offer, you know, get the public to react to and beg for a solution that you've already offered, and that solution is with the military-industrial complex that Dwight D. Eisenhower tried to warn us about. That military complex, a lot of money went into that military complex. Here's a pivotal piece of the puzzle that I love to lay out to a lot of people. The day before 9/11, right, Donald Rumsfeld testified in front of Congress to $2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon. $2.3 trillion. Where do you think that money went? Research and development? Black projects? Likely guess. Also, a recent Department of Defense report came out last year, within the past couple of years, it was either 2015 or 16, that number is now up to 6.5 trillion at least. And that is just what's been swiped from the Pentagon's coffers, okay? Keep in mind, this shadow government, they also have, that's just their public record keeping, their public swipings of us, their public farming of our energy and our resources that we should have. They also have their black budget money-making schemes. They have their black budget drug operations, their human organ harvesting, child trafficking, sick shit, and all the other stuff, right? Some people don't like that I curse, but if these topics don't make you curse, you're not looking hard enough, okay? There is trillions and trillions of dollars that they've harvested from us to build out this technology that is more compartmentalized and more secretive than the atom bomb, literally. The FBI said that. This, you know, understanding that there's a secret space program, it's so logical. So many dots connect when you begin to really think, wow, the research is there. They've had a century to build it out. They have had trillions of dollars they stole from us to build it out. Also, enter the picture, not only downed extraterrestrial craft, quite literally Roswell. You know, we were able to reverse engineer Roswell. Check out Clifford Stone and his badass whistleblowing, right? People have died over this, which is why it just makes me so heated, so emotional, and people have been threatened over this type of stuff. So this is nothing to take lightly. It's a very serious situation, and it's something that we're all needing to know and going to know, and the more we resist knowing it, the more internal tension it's going to cause within us and within humanity. So anyway, tangent. We also reverse engineered a lot of technology from downed alien craft. And this is how we were able to take the very basics of making like metal discs. I think T. Townsend Brown only had them about like the size of him. They only went a couple of 100 miles an hour. To within a couple decades, boom, we were already creating reverse engineered craft that could travel to Mars, right? We were on the moon and Mars in the freaking 30s and 40s. I don't doubt it. And ever since, how far have we gone since then, right? Check out Bill Tompkins. He's another one. He came out within the last year or two with literal drawings, right? He used to work for a Navy covert program designing space frigates. The whistleblowers are out there. The research is out there. It just is going to take us really blowing the whistle, not being afraid to talk about it, having the courage to talk about it, but also getting our friends and family warmed and cozied up to the idea so we can utilize our co-creative consciousness to get this disclosed. And 'cause it's extremely important. It's the only way our planet is going to survive is by understanding this concept, by having the conscious awakening to it and realizing the science that is possible and the science that's been kept from us. So that's my 10-minute rant on the secret space program. It's a very real concept. It's pretty easy to entertain those thoughts. All the dots really seem to connect with this when you think about them. So I invite you to do that. Think about them. Think about the, and inform your friends and family about this, because let me tell you, if they started seeing a bunch of things in the sky and they weren't aware that they could very well be man-made, they're not just some evil extraterrestrials that want to eat their souls, they might be a little scared. That's not a good thing. We want to ground people. We want them to understand what's really going on. So anyway, share this video with them as well if you think they can handle it. And also, if you would like to contribute, I have accounts below and ways that you can do that. So I appreciate everybody that has helped me do what I do and supported me so I can continue to do this. Anyway, thanks guys. Have a wonderful day. Done.